Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Something a little different on this Saturday. We're sticking to one day today, and that day is going to be April 20th, 1958. It was a Sunday, and we're going to have shows, All Frontier Gentlemen, Luke Slaughter of Tombstone, Gunsmoke, Suspense, and Claudia. All those shows, except for Claudia, were from 66 years ago, April 20th, 1958. But we thank you for tuning in. On this Saturday, 20th day of April, 111th day of the year, 255 days remaining, Congress passed an act creating the Wisconsin Territory on this date in 1836. There you go, cheeseheads, you got your day. In 1861, Robert E. Lee resigned his commission in the Army in order to command the forces of the state of Virginia. 1862, the first pasteurization test completed by Louis Pasteur and Claude Bernard. 1918, Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron, shot down his 79th and 80th victims, marking his final victory before his death the following day. In 1926, Western Electric Warner Brothers announced Vitaphone, a process to add sound to film. In 1972, Apollo 16 landed on the moon. And in 1979, I remember this, and we were laughing about it still to this day. Jimmy Carter, on this date in 1979, attacked by a swamp rabbit on a boat near his Plains, Georgia home.
Good evening, Wembley and the world! We are here tonight to celebrate the life and work and dreams of one Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury tribute concert for AIDS awareness on this date in 1992 sold out Wembley Stadium. Queen with Axl Rose. 72,000 attended in person. The concert broadcast live to 76 countries had an estimated viewing audience of 1 billion people. Let me say this about AIDS, and that yes, these days AIDS tends to be a mostly behavioral spread disease, but there are a lot of people who have had AIDS that should not, had nothing to do with behavior. I mean, heavens, remember tennis great Arthur Ashe? Suffered 2 heart attacks, had surgery twice, and somewhere along the line, he got tainted blood that was infected with HIV. It was not his fault, and let's face it, at that point in time, we still didn't know much about AIDS back in the 80s and 90s, and so, God bless him. God bless anybody who has picked up AIDS through a blood transfusion or something like that. It's not their fault. It really isn't. In 1999, 2 kids killed 12 students and a teacher before killing themselves in the Columbine High School massacre. And I won't mention their names. They don't need it. In Iraq, 12 mortars fired on Abu Ghraib prison by insurgents, killing 22 detainees, wounding 92 back in 2004. 2008, Danica Patrick winning the Indy Japan 300, the first female to win an IndyCar race. And in 2010, the Deepwater Horizon drilling rig exploded in the Gulf of Mexico, 11 workers killed, and it began an oil spill that would last 6 months. SpaceX's Starship rocket, the largest and most powerful rocket ever built, launched for the first time on this date in 2023, but it exploded 4 minutes into flight. What is it they used to say? We learn more from our failures than from our successes. Passing away on this date, Bram Stoker, Benny Hill, pro wrestler Rick Rude, Senor Wences, the ventriloquist, all right, Joni Lar, better known as China, and the main ingredient singer, Cuba Gooding Sr., yes, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s father. Born on this date in history, Adolf Hitler, also Harold Lloyd, Lionel Hampton, Betty Lou Gerson, Tito Puente, Mother Angelica, Ryan O'Neill, and Luther Vandross, all born on this date. You know, some people get mad if I mention Adolf Hitler, as this was the date he was born, but also Mother Angelica. So, you know, people are born and we look at them, and the world changed because they were on this world. Mother Angelica has changed the world. Adolf Hitler changed the world, not always for the better. And Betty Lou Gerson, wonderful actress in old-time radio. We miss her very much as well. But those are some of the people born on this date.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
Oh my. George Takei from Star Trek, 87 years old today. The man who sang about poetry in motion and talk back trembling lips. It's wonderful singer Johnny Tillotson, 86. Actress Jessica Lange is 75. George McFly in the Back to the Future movies, Crispin Glover, 60 years old. From Lord of the Rings, Andy Serkis is 60. From Criminal Minds, Shemar Moore, 54. From Baywatch, Carmen Electra is 52. From Blossom and Give Me a Break, Joey Lawrence, 48. Model Miranda Kerr is 41. And from Flash and Arrow, Carlos Valdez is 35. Those just a few of the people celebrating the 20th day of April as their birthday. 420, exactly. If this is your birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
All right, we're going to get started here with our salute to 1958, April 20th, 1958. Starting off with John Dehner as Frontier Gentleman, and we'll see what J.B. Kendall has to do with Aces and Eights. That's up next on this Saturday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. That's 800-515-6302.
You know, I've had so many people say, we miss you on the radio. We miss you on the radio. I understand you miss me on the radio. I'm on the radio every day here in Ely, Nevada, and that's part of the reason I had to, I was working 60, 70 hours a week, and the old body couldn't take it. And Classic Radio Theater had to go away for a while, and that's why we brought it back in the podcast form. Because I can do things here that I couldn't do there. I can play these shows without commercial interruption. I can play these shows without having to cut it off and go to a break. You know, that was the hardest part, was editing these shows down so that I could run them on the radio. And I do this all by myself. Just like I did the classic radio theater show by myself. I had no longer, in the last year and a half of doing classic radio theater, I had no producers. I had no assistants. It was all me. So, that's part of it that some of you may not understand. I had to put all the commercials in and make sure everything was ready to go up to the big birds so that it could get to radio stations. The challenge, though, is over as we do these shows now just for fun and for your fun, because I have a lot of fun doing this. Let's see. We're going to start off with John Dehner as J.B. Kendall, the reporter for the London Times, and the Frontier Gentleman, and this story about Calamity Jane and Wild Bill Hickok, aces and eights.
In a card game, aces and eights are known throughout the West as a dead man's hand. There's a good reason for it. And this is the story of how the hand got its name.
Frontier Gentlemen. Herewith an Englishman's account of life and death in the West. As a reporter for the London Times, he writes his colorful and unusual stories. But as a man with a gun, he lives and becomes a part of the violent years in the new territories. In just 1 minute, we'll bring you this latest report from the Frontier Gentleman. This is James Matthews with official results on the automobile competition the whole industry watches every year, the famous Mobile Gas Economy Run. This year's run, 1,883 miles from Los Angeles to Galveston, Texas, ranging from sea level through mountain passes. And once again, Chrysler Corporation cars took the lion's share of firsts. Plymouth, Chrysler, and Imperial again this year for the second straight year, winning first place over all other cars in their class in the famous Economy Run. Imperial, by the way, was sweepstakes winner, too, getting 62.7188 ton-miles per gallon. The forward look is a lot more than look. You get a better engine, brawnier brakes, torsionaire ride at no extra cost, and winning performance and economy in cars of the forward look from Chrysler Corporation. Take a drive this week in a car of the forward look, Plymouth, Dodge, DeSoto, Chrysler, or the triumphant Imperial. Drive one of America's performance winners from Chrysler Corporation. Now starring John Dehner, this is the story of J.B. Kendall, Frontier Gentleman.
I left Fort Benton, Montana Territory, in a little river steamer called the Pride of the West. The journey downstream on the Missouri was a good deal faster than that which I had made coming up from St. Louis just a few months earlier. I decided to write some articles for the London Times on river travel in the American West. But the balmy weather, coupled with a feeling of complete indolence, made me put off all thought of work. Several days passed, and then we docked at Fort Pierre in Dakota Territory. I went ashore to purchase a new pair of boots, and it was in the store of an outfitter named Judd Scott that I first heard the name of Deadwood. Well, the left one might be a bit tight. Yes, right here, in the heel.
Oh, she'll ease up, mister. Of course, I don't do much trade in ready-mades. If you had more time, I'd make you a real fine pair, finest in Dakota Territory. Here, let me take it off. I'll try to work it out. So you're a newspaper correspondent, huh? Well, we've had 'em come through, but none from England. Must be pretty interesting, your line of work.
Yes, it is. Quite.
Too bad you ain't staying around these parts. Your folks back home would get a pleasure out of reading about things we got around here.
You mean in Fort Pierre?
Well, there ain't too much going on here. I guess you could write about Jack McCall, though. Try it on now. It should be better.
Now, Jack McCall, huh?
He used to drive a stage between here and Deadwood. Got some tall yarns to spin about Indians and the like. Go ahead. Take a walk now.
Yes, I'd like to meet him.
He's back in Deadwood now. How's that? That better?
Yes, fine. Where is Deadwood?
You mean you ain't heard of it? Oh, worst bunch of cutthroats and outlaws living in all the territories and the United States is in Deadwood. They even got Wild Bill Hickok out there. I hear tell there's folks wanting to put him up for marshal.
Hickok? Yes, I've heard of him.
Yeah, it won't take Wild Bill long to clean up, I can tell you.
Deadwood, huh?
Oh, you taking the boots?
I'm taking them. I sold the remainder of my ticket to a man booking passage for St. Louis, and the next day took the stage from Fort Pierre to Deadwood in the Black Hills of Dakota Territory. At the stagecoach station in Deadwood, I inquired after Jack McCall and was directed to Carl Mann's saloon. Even though it was Sunday, I was surprised to see that the place was practically empty. A hatchet-faced woman dressed in black was drinking alone at the bar, and I found McCall, a broken-nosed, sullen-looking man, sitting at a table playing a game of solitaire.
Yeah, it's me. Who's asking to know?
J.B. Kendall.
What's your business, J.B. Kendall?
Well, a gentleman in Fort Pierre mentioned your name. He runs the general store.
Judd Scott?
Yes, that's right.
How come you want to talk with me?
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm a newspaper correspondent, and I thought there might be a story to write about Deadwood, and your friend suggested that I get in touch with you.
What kind of story are you thinking about?
I understand that Wild Bill Hickok is in town. Do you know him?
Why don't you ask her?
Hmm?
Or at the bar. Calamity Jane. Figures she knows him better than most.
Oh, well, thank you, I will. Perhaps I can buy you a drink after?
Suit yourself. I ain't going nowhere.
Miss Jane?
You talking to me? The name's Calamity. Ain't no miss in it. Calamity Jane.
I'm sorry. I'm J.B. Kendall. The gentleman over there mentioned that you were a good friend of Wild Bill Hickok.
Who? Why, that ain't no gentleman. That's a stinking pig by the name of Jack McCall. You've been sitting with him. Don't foul up the air around me. Hit the trail, mister.
Yeah, well, I was hoping you could introduce me to Mr. Hickok.
Hey, you English?
Yes.
Thought so. Knew an English feller down in Abilene. Wouldn't quit riding herd on me. Had to shoot him.
Oh.
New in town, ain't you?
Just arrived.
You ain't friend of McCall?
Oh, I only met him a few minutes ago.
What brings you?
I am a writer, newspaper articles for the London Times.
Hey, I guess you heard about me and Wild Bill, huh?
Oh, yes.
Fastest man with a gun you'll ever see. I ain't too bad myself, but I ain't nothing to Wild Bill. Come on over to the table, bring the bottle, and I'll tell you about me and Wild Bill.
Calamity Jane was a strange, almost masculine-looking woman, hard and rough-voiced. She told me of her exploits as a scout with General Crook's army in the war against the Sioux, but most of the time she spoke of Hickok. About a half an hour had passed when I noticed Jack McCall get up from his table and come toward us.
Yes, sir. What Wild Bill done in Abilene, there ain't another man could have handled. Why,
Hey, mister, I thought you was going to buy me a drink.
Oh, not just now, Mr. McCall. I'm talking to the lady.
Oh, yeah, I see. It's mostly listening. Ain't nobody gets to talk much around her.
McCall, you want me to put your eyeballs out with this bottle. You open that barn door of yours just once more.
Kendall, you come on down to Boot Hill Saloon when you're through. I'll tell you the truth about that female polecat there in a windy friend.
One of these days, me or Wild Bill's gonna pump that coyote full of lead. Except he ain't worth wasting a ball on.
All I know about him is that he used to drive the stage between here and Fort Pierre.
Yeah, lost that job because he couldn't hold his liquor. He used to be a buffalo hunter till the feller he worked for caught him stealing hides. He ain't no good, that one, and his pals is worse. You ever run into Tim Brady or Johnny Varnes, you watch your step, mister. Them's two of the boys, along with McCall, that Wild Bill's gonna run out of this town when he gets to be marshal.
Where is Wild Bill now?
He's up in the hills working on his claim. Him and his partner, Colorado Charlie. They ought to be back by tomorrow. He'd like to meet you, mister. Wild Bill always had a liking for you newspaper fellers. Well, what's your hurry? Sit down. We'll split another bottle.
Oh, thank you, but now I think I'd better get settled. Wash some of this Dakota dust off.
What a dude. All right, go on up the hotel. Tell him Calamity Jane sent you, and if they don't give you the best room, I'll shoot up the place.
The recommendation was most effective. I got the best room in the hotel. 2 hours later, in spite of Calamity Jane's warning, I wandered down to the Boot Hill Saloon. I was curious about McCall and what he might have to say about Calamity and Wild Bill Hickok. I found him there, very drunk. He was talking to a heavy-set man who was chewing on an unlit cigar. McCall greeted me as an old friend.
Hey, what do you say, Kendall? You had enough of that female windbag, huh? Hey, Tim, this is the fellow I was telling you about. Kendall's his name.
Yeah.
Kendall. Hi.
How are you? Tim Brady.
I owe Mr. McCall a drink. I came down to settle my debt.
Oh, that's real fine of you, Kendall. Oh, Jim Kendall's coming to Deadwood to write a story about Wild Bill Hickok, the new marshal of Deadwood.
You go get yourself a drink, McCall.
Sure, Tim. Sure.
Take a chair, Kendall.
Marshal of Deadwood.
I wouldn't pay no heed to what McCall says. Not when he gets too much whiskey in him.
Did he say something?
About Hickok being marshal.
Oh, well, it's not particularly news. I heard that in Fort Pierre 5 days ago.
Well, don't you believe it?
Oh?
Fellers around here, they don't want his kind. You go writing in your paper a thing like that, you're going to have to turn right around and write that it ain't true.
He's not going to get the job?
No. I tell you, he does a lot of ear greasing, like that crow-bayed mare, Calamity Jane. But all them things you hear is just a lot of brag. Hickok never plugged a man unless the feller's back was turned. I was down to Abilene when he dry gulched Phil Cole. It was the worst thing you ever seen. Shot him in the back. Then by mistake, he goes and kills his own pal, Mike Williams. No, sir. Deadwood ain't gonna put up a man like that for marshal. You think so?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose it depends on how many want him.
Oh, well, there's a lot of them miners up to the hill. They're the ones. Figure he's a real big man. Heard all them crazy stories about it. You want to know what I think?
I'd be very interested.
I don't think he'd last 2 minutes as marshal before somebody shot the daylights out of him. Yes, your best thing for Hickok to do is get out of Deadwood and stay out. You see him, you tell him that.
The next night, Calamity Jane introduced me to Wild Bill Hickok. He looked older, more tired than I'd imagined him. As we sat in his room, I noticed that he blinked his eyes, rubbed them, and seemed quite nervous. Constantly glanced toward the door. Calamity had gone out to buy some food.
Me and Colorado Charlie had a rough week up in the hills. Feels kind of good to get back. You ever done any mining, Kendall?
No.
Well, have you ever had the idea to get somebody else to do the work for you? Well, what do you think of Deadwood?
Oh, I haven't been here very long.
Ain't much like London, I'll bet.
No, it isn't.
Well, do a little cleaning up like I did in Hayes City and Abilene. We'll have a right nice little town.
When do you expect to begin as marshal?
Any day now. The boys are getting things moving.
I saw a man yesterday, Tim Brady.
Brady?
And he asked me to give you a message.
Huh?
The best thing for Hickok to do is to get out of Deadwood and stay out.
Well, that's what he said, huh?
Yes.
You know why? They're afraid of me. They know what's going to happen after I get sworn in. I run them out, and if they don't run, we have a showdown. Brady and his pal Varnes ain't got stomach for that.
I gather they're the somewhat unsavory element in Deadwood. Is that so?
Mister, you ain't just milking pigeons. Why, them miners up in the hills would be dead ducks for Brady and his gang if it weren't for me. This is the worst mining camp in the territory. Ain't been no law here since it started, and Brady don't want none. That's how come the miners want me for marshal. Protection.
Well, I'm surprised he hasn't tried to get rid of you before this.
That jayhawker knows what had happened to him in a shoot-up. He ain't likely to try nothing. A fellow like that gets somebody else to do his dirty work.
Oh, it's only me, Bill. Put away the gun.
I told you, Charlie, you ought to knock.
Keep forgetting.
This is J.B. Kendall. He's going to write a story about me for an English paper.
Yeah, I run into Calamity down to Carl's place, and she told me. Nice to meet you, Kendall.
And you, sir.
My old pal, Charlie Utter.
Colorado Charlie's good enough.
Kendall's been talking to Brady.
Oh, that's so. Rest your saddle, Bill. You make me tired standing.
Brady said I ought to get out of town.
Oh, he'd like that fine.
Yeah, he'd like that. Well, I guess I'll go and wash up before Calamity gets back. You staying around, Charlie?
Yeah, I thought maybe we'd go down to Carl's later and play some cards.
All right. I'll be right back.
Sure. Got a lot on his mind, has Wild Bill. He ain't usually like this.
He seems to have trouble with his eyes.
Oh, you noticed, huh? I wouldn't want you to say nothing in front of Bill, but he's been scared he's going blind. Yeah, things sure don't seem like the old days. Oh, I gotta get these boots off. My feet's killing me.
How old is he?
Wild Bill? Let me see. 39. Of course, to hear him talk, you'd think he's closer to 60. I sure do fret over him sometimes. Always talking about dying, this and that. It ain't like the old days. He sure was a rip snorter. Oh, well, maybe when he gets to be marshal again, everything will be like it always was.
Calamity Jane came in with the food, and behind her, Bill Hickok. It was a strange supper. Both Colorado Charlie and Calamity kept up a stream of conversation, anecdotes singing the praise of Hickok's past accomplishments, but the atmosphere was strained. The man with the long hair didn't say very much. Afterwards, Charlie Utter invited me to accompany them to the saloon. I noticed that Hickok was reluctant. Possibly he had a feeling, a warning of what was to come. It was 8 o'clock when we arrived at Carl Mann's saloon and sat down at the card table.
Charlie, change seats with me. I ain't sitting with my back to the door.
Wild Bill, you're getting worse than an old woman.
Or maybe so, but that's the way it is. I like to see what's coming in.
Well, here. Yeah, take my place if you like.
No, sir. All he wants is a catbird seat. That's how come he's always winning. You ain't moving, Bill.
You got the right idea, Charlie. Wild Bill, you got your seat, and that's the way it's gonna be. Carl! Bring us a bottle of whiskey and a deck of cards. Marshal Hickok's gonna be the big loser tonight.
After a few minutes, we were joined by a miner, and the 5 of us played. It was a friendly game, and we could see Hickok beginning to relax. He was a good player and held more than his share of winning hands. But while the game went on, there was something happening down the street in the Boot Hill Saloon. We didn't know it then, but after it was too late, we heard what had taken place. 3 men sat in a back room, one of them drinking heavily. This was Jack McCall. The other 2 were Tim Brady and Johnny Varnes, the leaders of the toughs in Deadwood.
Oh, I'm telling you, Jack, you'll be a big man.
Why, they'll look at you when you walk down the street. They'll say, there goes Jack McCall. He killed Wild Bill Hickok.
You hear what Johnny says?
Yeah, I hear. Give me another drink, Jack.
Why, sure.
He's in Carl's place right now. You could get him easy.
Oh, might not be so easy.
Well, you ain't afraid, are you, Jack?
Oh, I ain't afraid.
No.
No, I ain't afraid, but it just won't be so easy.
Of course, we could get somebody else to do it. We just figured, Tim and me, we figured you was the man for the
look,
job.
I ain't saying I won't
You know
do
what
it.
we could do, Johnny?
What?
We could maybe get that newspaper feller, Kendall, to write something about Jack in his paper. How'd you like to see that, boy, in an English paper? Jack McCall shoots down Wild Bill Hickok. Yeah, you could go on the stage all over with that. Sure.
Yeah.
He's right down the street, Jack. I seen him myself. You know what? He's sitting with his back to the door.
Now, you listen. Just listen. How come if you was there, you didn't plug him yourself?
Yeah, it ain't no use, Johnny. He don't understand. All right.
No,
Forget it,
wait a
Jack.
minute. I'm just asking. That's all. Now, just tell me how come.
Because Calamity Jane and Colorado Charlie is with him. If they saw me, they'd know something was wrong. But not you, Jack. They wouldn't figure you drawing on Hickok.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's all I wanted to know was why.
All right. What do you say, Jack?
Sure, why not? Sure.
Give him a gun, Johnny. And don't you miss, boy, you hear?
Just look at there.
3 kings.
He's beat you, Wild Bill.
Every son of a gun if he hasn't. I had you pegged for no more than 2 pair.
Kendall ain't the best player I've seen, but he's sure a lucky one. Deal him out, Calamity.
All right.
Knew a feller once in Hayes City drew 2 cards to a royal. Luckiest thing I ever seen.
That's a loco thing for a man to do.
Sure was. He took one look at his hand and keeled over plumb dead.
You know, I had a hand something like that. I won a Chinese girl with it a few weeks ago in Deer Lodge.
Chinese?
I did.
No kidding.
Sure.
What did you do with her?
Well, I gave her to a man I knew. He married her.
Open for $1.
Wait. Yes, I'm staying.
Stay? Me too.
I ain't proud. There. Cards?
3.
Kendall?
2, please.
Give me 1.
Now, there's a man's gonna drop dead if he pulls it right.
How's about you, Charlie?
2.
Dealer takes 3.
Honest woman.
That's one thing I ain't nor never hope to be. Your bet, Wild Bill.
Well, I'll tell you, friends, I'm going to make this rough on you. $2.
All right. I call.
Not me. And I ain't dropping dead, neither.
Well, I'll see you.
I'm a sucker. All right. What do you got, Wild Bill?
Prettiest 2 pair you ever seen. Aces and 8s.
Wild Bill Hickok slumped forward on the table. He still had the winning smile on his face and the cards crumpled in his tightening fist. It was Calamity Jane who found Jack McCall. He was hiding in a butcher shop nearby. Colorado Charlie and I dragged him away before she had a chance to use the meat cleaver she was holding. We found 6 cartridges in McCall's gun. The only one to fire was the first, the one that killed Hickok. The other 5 were defective. Before I left Deadwood, McCall was tried for murder. But Brady and Barnes must have chosen the jury themselves, because the final verdict was not guilty.
Frontier Gentleman was written, produced, and directed by Anthony Ellis and stars John Dehner as J.B. Kendall. Featured in the cast were John McIntyre, Jeanette Nolan, Jack Moyles, Larry Dobkin, Stacey Harris, and Vic Perrin. Music was composed and conducted by Amerigo Moreno. Join us again next week for another report from the Frontier Gentleman. James Matthews speaking. This is the CBS Radio Network.
Some good names there, and producing the show. Some of the supporting actors for John Dehner. 66 years ago, and April 20th, 1958, a Sunday. And we'll get to some of the news of that day next, after Frontier Gentleman. And then Luke Slaughter of Tombstone. That's coming up next, as we spend a lot of time in the West today on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Are you suffering with anxiety, depression, PTSD, an eating disorder, or even a substance abuse problem? If it's causing problems at work or with your family, get help now. At Insight Mental Health and Wellness, we help and treat all types of depression and mental issues. We will help you use your insurance to get away from it all, to a beautiful, sunny, and tranquil vacation-like environment, so you can recharge yourself. And with the Family Medical Leave Act, you could take the time off you need from work. Plus, with the Affordable Care Act, your treatment could be 100% covered. If you're suffering from any kind of anxiety, depression, PTSD, eating disorder, or even a substance abuse problem, use your insurance and get away from it all. Come to sunny California. Call Insight Mental Health and Wellness now.
800-281-8944. 800-281-8944. 800-281-8944. That's 800-281-8944.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we continue our look at April 20th, 1958. Sorry about that. April 20th, 1958. It was a Sunday. Well, all of our shows, except for Claudia, are from that date. Well, let's take a look at the news items from the newspapers of that date. A New York-bound airliner collided in flight with a jet fighter, killing all 47 people aboard the United Airline DC-7 and 2 Air Force flyers in the jet. In other news, the President Eisenhower returning to the White House after a weekend of golf and fishing at his Camp David, Maryland retreat. Chief Executive caught 5 trout in Little Hunting Creek, about 5 miles from the Calington Mountains hideaway. The Jordan ordered troop reinforcements and tanks into its half of the divided Jerusalem to underline its protest that Israel's 10th anniversary parade menaced Jordanian security. Indonesian government planes bombed the rebel capital while the ground troops closed in on rebel ground troops in a double squeeze that could end the Sumatra revolt by next weekend. A government official said Monday large seagoing ships will be sailing the $800 million St. Lawrence Seaway next spring. The United Nations has mustered overwhelming support of UN Security Council members against Soviet charges that U.S. bombers laden with hydrogen bombs threaten to start World War III by flying toward Russia. The Security Council called into session to hear the complaint made first on Friday by Soviet Foreign Minister Andrei Gromyko. American officials expected any Soviet resolution denouncing the U.S. would be beaten by a 9-1 Security Council vote. Herbert Hoover's doctors reporting the former president's condition improved. They were well satisfied with his progress toward recovery from a gallbladder operation performed on Saturday. Governor Averell Harriman of New York blamed the Eisenhower administration for the recession and said it must act immediately to reverse the economic trend or lose a vital Cold War battle to communism. Aggressive action to combat the business recession advocated by many of the 1,200 delegates to the 72nd Annual Convention of the American Newspaper Publishers Association at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. and all of the about 600 teenage girls stricken with food poisoning at a convention of the Sunshine Society for Girls are recovering. Authorities said a few of the girls who were stricken Saturday still hospitalized, but their condition not considered serious. Some of the news stories from April 20th, 1958. We'll continue now with shows from that Sunday featuring Sam Buffington in Luke Slaughter from Tombstone. That's next.
President Biden recently released a massive $6 trillion budget, the largest budget in U.S. history. And guess who pays the bill? That's right, you, the American taxpayer. American citizens and business owners will be paying more taxes. That's a fact. And if you owe back taxes, they will be coming after you to collect payments. In fact, President Biden also hired thousands more IRS agents to go after you. If you got a letter from the IRS and you know you owe back taxes or you haven't filed in years, don't put your head in the sand. Call us today. We've saved our customers millions of tax dollars. One quick, free phone call will show you how we can reduce your past tax bill and save you thousands. Guaranteed, or you pay nothing. Call now.
800-932-1431. 800-932-1431. That's 800-932-1431. Paid for by the Tax Helpline.
Continuing now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Hopefully my voice holds up. I don't know why. It just started going south on me here. But we will have episode of Luke Slaughter of Tombstone. The 18-episode series starred Sam Buffington, who would commit suicide before the decade turned. This show was broadcast 66 years ago, April 20th, 1958. The story of Henry Fell.
Slaughter's my name. Luke Slaughter. Cattle's my business. It's a tough business. It's big business. I've got a big stake in it. And there's no man west of the Rio Grande big enough to take it from me.
Luke Slaughter of Tombstone. Luke Slaughter of Tombstone, Civil War cavalryman turned Arizona cattleman. Across the territory from Yuma to Fort Defiance, from Flagstaff to the Huachucas, and below the border through Chihuahua and Sonora, his name was respected or feared, depending on which side of the law you were on. Man of vision, man of legend, Luke Slaughter of Tombstone.
Folks who write dictionaries must have a pretty tough time with the word tolerance. I guess if you had to boil it down to just one other word, maybe it'd be understanding. Some of us here in Tombstone found that out when I gave Chief Margano and a few of his Apache braves the loan of a couple of sections of my spread to try their hand at cattle raising. And I got chewed out plenty about it every time I went into town.
Well, you call it an experiment, Slaughter. I call it an invitation to those sneaking Apaches to murder you.
Well, they're living on my spread. Don't you figure it's my business?
They won't stop with you. Once they smell white blood again, they'll massacre everybody in Tombstone.
Look, Mr. Vale, Margano's through making war. He's trying to understand our ways. He's even trying to get his people to adopt some of them.
Well, they adopted guns quick enough, but they'll never be cattlemen.
This was their country before it was ours. They've got a right to be part of its progress. You can't just shut the Apaches up on a reservation and forget them.
No, maybe we can't forget them. But if we drive them back to the Chiricahuas, we'll at least have some warning when they strike.
They aren't going to strike. Margano and I have sort of a private treaty.
Margano's a senile old fool. You got a private treaty with that trigger-tempered son of his?
Lasha? I like him, too. He's intelligent and he's got spunk.
Spunk my foot.
Luke, I've been looking all over for you. I want you to make the acquaintance of Mr. Henry Fell from back east. Fell, this here's Luke Slaughter, my boss. And this here's Carter Vale, another big man in these parts.
Howdy.
A distinct pleasure, gentlemen. Indeed it is.
So, you're from back east, Mr. Fell.
Yes, indeed. Boston.
You know, boys, Mr. Fell here can outdraw any man in the place. Well, he can, by golly. Yes, sir. I'd bet a month's wages he can even outdraw you, Luke.
I'm afraid neither Mr. Fell nor myself have any special reason for drawing.
Well, he's got plenty of reason. Oh, not necessarily against you, of course. He'll take on all comers.
You think you could outdraw me, Fell?
I have very little doubt of it, Mr. Vale.
With what? You aren't even packing an iron.
Well, you want to take him on, Mr. Vale? Why, he'll even furnish the weapons.
Let's just forget about it, gentlemen.
Forget it nothing. Fell may as well learn some of the facts of life in the Arizona Territory.
Exactly what I came to do, Mr. Vale, to learn them and record them for posterity.
All right. I doubt that you'll ever record this incident, but you can start by trying to outdraw me.
With Mr. Fell's weapon?
Yep.
Hold on. Why spill blood over a silly barroom challenge?
Now, you've been implying that I shouldn't mix in your business, Slaughter. Well, this is mine.
Well, correct. Now, Mr. Vale thinks he can outdraw Mr. Fell. I and Mr. Fell don't think he can. And the loser buys a round for the house.
Splendid. I don't indulge, but I shall be delighted to stand treat if I lose.
Why, you ridiculous little dude. All right, let's see the gun.
I'm unwrapping the weapons. Nobody mentioned guns. You draw with these, Vale, and here's yours, Fell.
Paper and a piece of charcoal. What is this?
Why, a outdrawing match. 1, 2, 3, draw.
We should have both been wise to Wichita, Vale. He's got a sense of humor like a cow buffalo.
Watch Mr. Fell, Luke. Ain't he the cleverest?
Nose flaring, lips tight, chin craggy, powerful.
Hey, wait a minute. Is that supposed to be...
Hurry up and draw something, Vale. He's almost done.
Come on, Vale.
I'll be doggone, Vale. It's a spitting image of you.
There we are.
Yeah. Well, looks like you're stuck for the drinks, Mr. Vale.
Well, now look here. When a man challenges me to... if anybody thinks this is a laughing matter...
now there is no offense intended, sir. You are more than welcome to the little sketch, and I shall be delighted to purchase the libations.
I don't welch my bets. Frank, set him up for the house.
Come on, boy.
You're a good sport, Vale. And it's mighty good likeness, too.
Well, I guess I will take the picture home with me, Fell. Mrs. Vale is, well, women sometimes enjoy a doodad like this.
Luke, you know what Mr. Fell's doing here in Tombstone?
Yeah, keeping you in free drinks.
No, sir, he's... well, that too. But he come west to paint engines.
Yeah, well, the engines do their own painting with war paint. Slaughter and I were just talking about that.
We weren't getting anywhere either.
War paint? I understood that the treaties with the Apaches were working out nicely.
They are, when the white men live up to them.
Well, that is practically treason against your own race, Slaughter.
If it's treason to compare some members of my own race with Indians like Cochise and Margano, well, I'm guilty. Tell us a little more about what you plan to do, Mr. Fell.
Well, I want to paint the strong Indian faces, their customs, the way they live. The people back east have some amazing misconceptions about them.
Yeah, so has Slaughter. He trusts them.
I'm trying to understand them. Anyway, Mr. Fell, there are some very interesting and colorful Apaches living on my spread. You'll have models for all the painting you want to do.
And the Apaches will have a brand new candidate for buzzard bait.
This here's powerful hard work, Luke.
Well, I know you don't feel right out of a saddle, Wichita, but we're going to need this corral.
Oh, there, Red.
Good morning, Vale.
Morning, Slaughter. Wichita.
Howdy. How'd the missus like your picture?
Well, she wants your friend Fell to paint one of her. You know where I can find him?
I'm afraid he isn't available today. I took him out to the Apache camp at sunrise, loaded with paints and brushes and canvas.
He was happy as a chipmunk in a pinyon forest.
Slaughter, a tenderfoot like Fell could be just the fuse to set your Apaches off. Suppose he tries to paint one of their women.
Chief Margano explained about that to him. He said, a woman who gazes too long at a reflection in a clear stream forgets her life's purpose.
Them Apaches got the right idea about their women folk. I ought to marry one and make her hammer this corral together.
What are you building the corral for, Slaughter? So Margano won't steal your Mustangs?
Well, for once, you came sort of close to trapping me. I'm going to try to improve the range Mustangs with some Morgan breeding stock. I figure there's no use tempting Lasher and his young buck friends way beyond their conception of our property laws.
You and your fancy talk about your Apache friends. You don't trust them any more than I do.
Sure I do. I just don't expect them to understand a whole new code of ethics overnight.
Hey, somebody's sure pounding a lot of leather.
Yeah, it sounds... Look, Wichita, it's Fell on that little roan we left out there for him.
Well, I never thought a dude like him could ride... Slaughter, he's in trouble.
I got it. Steady. Oh, steady. Wichita, help him off.
Sure. Wait, Mr. Fell, what happened? Your clothes is ripped. That mare's lathered up like you was going to shave her.
Yeah, that's all right, I guess. I saved most of my paints from this canvas. Mr. Slaughter, those Indians are far from friendly.
What?
They set upon me. The one you called Lasher and another red-skinned blackguard.
I told you they'd do it, Slaughter. They'll be coming after us if we don't go after them first.
Hold it, Vale. Let's find out what started the trouble.
Nothing I did, I assure you. I was painting a portrait of the old chief with his permission. Lasher and this other young buck came up and he took one look and knocked me to the ground.
Well, how'd you get away?
Well, for the moment, the old man seemed as surprised as I was. This Lasher rushed to him, started a jabber in what I assumed was Apache, and I wrenched loose, grabbed what I could, and somehow mounted this horse. Fortunately, the Indians' horses were still hobbled.
The miserable sneaking cowards tried to murder you in cold blood.
Don't be too sure. Maybe this was Lasher's idea of a prank.
Oh, I doubt that. Lasher's friend, who I eluded with the aid of an elbow to his Adam's apple, was holding a knife to my throat at the same time.
Hey, that is a nasty cut on your arm.
Well, that was a nasty knife.
You'll have to take care of that wound right away. This the picture you were painting?
Yes, it's a bit the worse for wear, but I can repaint the smears.
Well, that's Margano's profile, all right. Except you made him look almost decent. All right, Slaughter. I'll head for Tombstone and get the men together.
What for?
What for? To drive those Apaches back to the Chiricahuas. If there's any left when we finish with them.
This happened on my property. As soon as I get Fell fixed up, I'll ride out and get the whole story.
A white man has been attacked. It doesn't matter whose property it happened on. It's a matter of defending the community now.
You listen to me, Vale. You fire a shot or even go near Margano.
Dig sand, men. It's an engineer.
Get that stack of rails. Crawl for it.
Up there on the rise, a mounted Apache.
Vale, don't fire.
Try and stop me.
I'll have to. Keep his gun for him, Wichita.
Oh.
Lasher,
What's this, Slaughter?
have you gone loco?
I've come from White Eye's picture maker. I will not harm you.
Are you alone?
I am alone.
Then drop that bow and ride to me.
Send White Eyes Fell to me. He is our enemy.
Enemy?
Lasher, either parley like a man or send your father.
I warn you, Hustin Slaughter. Turn Fell loose or I will come back with my braves and take him.
I wouldn't try that.
I gave you until the sun is at its highest. Then we'll come back for the White Eyes.
We only got till noon, Luke. There's 20 braves in the camp, and plenty of them got rifles.
Vale could round up more men than that. But I'm not going to let this turn into war.
Luke, did you ever stop to think that maybe you could be wrong about Injuns?
In a moment, Luke Slaughter of Tombstone returns. This is Bud Sewell with official results on the automobile competition the whole industry watches every year, the famous Mobile Gas Economy Run. This year's run, 1,883 miles from Los Angeles to Texas, ranging from sea level through mountain passes. And once again, Chrysler Corporation cars took the lion's share of firsts. Plymouth, Chrysler, and Imperial, again this year for the second straight year, winning first place over all other cars in their class in the famous economy run. Imperial, by the way, was sweepstakes winner, too, getting 62.7188 ton-miles per gallon. The forward look is a lot more than look. You get a better engine, brawnier brakes, torsion air ride at no extra cost, and winning performance and economy in cars of the forward look from Chrysler Corporation. Take a drive this week in a car of the forward look. Plymouth, Dodge, DeSoto, Chrysler, or the triumphant Imperial. Drive one of America's performance winners from Chrysler Corporation. And now, Act Two of William N. Robson's production of Luke Slaughter of Tombstone.
Carter Vale came to in a fury. He swore to drive the Apaches back to the mountains. He swore he'd settle with me after he'd done it. Then he mounted his big stallion and spurred back toward Tombstone to recruit men and guns.
Luke, he's mad enough to eat the devil with his horns on. And I ain't so sure he ain't got a case.
He will have, if Lasher brings his braves back to take Fell.
If I had incited those Indians, I'd tell you, Mr. Slaughter, but I assure you I was attacked without provocation.
Let me see your painting of Chief Margano again, Fell.
Whatever you're gonna do, Luke, do it pronto.
Well, this is good. You've captured the strength of his profile, and courage in his eye.
This ain't no time to act like one of them art critic dudes. We're 2 hours away from being caught in a war.
I once saw the funeral rites for an old chief of the Chitimacha tribe in the Louisiana Territory. His son was very much concerned about the way the body was laid out on the funeral pyre, so that when the dead warrior met the Great Spirit... Phil, could you make another portrait of Margano from memory, posed as I tell you?
Certainly. I have his features fixed in my mind. I wouldn't need a model.
Let's go up to the house, then. You've got a picture to paint. Fell painted a new picture of Margano. We rode for the Apache camp a little before noon. The picture was a gamble, but I had to force a parley or deal with a possible massacre.
What if they ambush us?
They won't. But you can bet that the Apache scouts are escorting us in.
I certainly don't see them.
An Apache could hide behind one of your paintbrushes.
I wish you'd explain this picture falderall to me.
We will, if it turns out I'm right.
And if you ain't?
And we're all in a game of showdown for mighty big stakes. Now, pull down to a walk now. The camp's just the other side of this wash. Easy now, both of you. Don't let the welcoming committee scare you into a false move.
What welcoming committee? I don't see no... Uh-oh. Right out of the mesquite.
Oh, boy.
Margano and Lasher, wait. White Eyes, come with me.
We're all coming.
That's the buck who slashed me, Mr. Slaughter.
Don't worry. He's acting under Margano's orders now.
It appears like we beat Vale here, anyhow.
Not by much. See that Indian riding up to the edge of the mesa?
Yeah. He's telling Lasher and old Margano something in sign language.
White riders coming. It's bound to be Vale and the men.
Did anyone ever surprise an Apache?
Never twice.
Plenty far now.
Whoa. Whoa there.
What?
Ooh. Dismount, men. Wichita, unbuckle your belt and let your guns drop, like I'm doing.
But you...
Do it. Margano, we come in peace.
What of the others who ride toward us?
I want this young brave in Wichita to ride out and meet them with a white flag. We'll use your shirt for that, Phil.
I gotta surrender without even my gun?
My chief.
Get started, Wichita. And make sure that Vale's men walk their horses into this camp.
Sure, all right, Luke.
Now, Margano, Lasher, suppose you meet us halfway.
We want no parley. Give us White Eyes without a shirt.
Lasher, you insult me when you insult my friend. Now walk towards us, both of you.
Lasher will avenge his father.
Avenge him for what? Your father is just as I saw him this morning.
My son says
little man who draws with colored stick, tell lies to Great Spirit about Margano.
Your son is wrong.
I do not tell lies.
You speak with a tongue that has no wisdom. You strike out like a child who can't reason.
I am a man. I've killed Zuni warriors and Yaqui warriors.
I have told my son that killing can no longer be the way of the Apache. He replies that even white men kill to avenge a wrong.
The wise white man and the wise red man make sure a wrong has been done before they kill. Nothing should be decided in the heat of anger.
We've parleyed too long. White picture make it tell lies to Great Spirit.
Slaughter, you're handling this like a...
Hold it right there, Vale. Where are the rest of your men?
Where they can cover this place with their guns. If you've crawled your way into a trap.
I explained that you sent out the white flag, Luke.
And don't ask me to drop my guns. I don't aim to die before I pump some lead myself.
We've been having a little talk about hotheads. And now that the place is crawling with them, Mr. Fell and I'll show you how wrong you all are. Margano?
Where?
Hostine Fell has a gift for you.
I am not softened by a gift from one who lies.
Fell does not lie. His gift is the rolled white cloth he carries. Give it to your Apache friend, Mr. Fell.
Do not touch it, my father.
Take it, Margano. It's your likeness. The likeness Hostine Fell had not yet finished when your son so stupidly attacked him.
No, do not look upon it.
All right, I'll make you look at it.
Oh, my own son has told... Lasha, behold.
Aye? But this morning the picture had but one eye, but one ear, but half of a mouth.
I told you, Lasha. Hostine Fell had not finished. You think that a friend I brought to you would insult your great spirit and your father by drawing him with half a face when he has two eyes as piercing as the eagle's?
My people shall remember their chief as they see him here, as Hostine Fell has painted him.
Lasha was a fool. I will go from my people and never return.
No, Lasha. Your father and your people need you. Today you've become wiser. The best thing now is to, just forget this foolish trouble. Now what are you doing?
Hostine Fell has no shirt. He will do Lasha an honor if he will accept Lasha's shirt of doeskin.
Why, I shall be very pleased.
And you will make a picture of Lasha when there's no pain in your arm?
Oh, my arm feels fine, Lasha. I'd like to paint you, and I can assure Mr. Slaughter that I will not attempt another profile.
Profile? I do not understand.
It's nothing, Lasha. Just a word painters use. Now, Vale, suppose you let your army know the war's over. As I turned toward Vale, Honton, the other young Apache, was drawing his knife. I leaped for him, but Vale was off his horse in the same instant and hurling himself at me.
Slaughter, you fool! Mr. Vale, what'd you punch him for?
You think I want him to start a war? Might help him up, Wichita. Honton, you go ahead and throw your knife.
What? Well, Honton,
It is an evil knife. Evil spirits bewitched it. It harmed a friend. Honton hurls it from him.
You see, Luke, he wasn't aiming to harm nobody.
You claim to be such an expert on Apache customs, Slaughter. And an expert on hotheads. And now we're square for the punch you landed on me this morning. Right?
Right, Vale. I've been spouting about how tolerance and understanding are pretty much the same thing. I guess we both understand a little more about our neighbors. And if your jaw feels like mine, I guess from now on we're going to be a lot more tolerant of each other.
Luke Slaughter of Tombstone, starring Sam Buffington, was written by Fran Van Hartisveld, with editorial supervision by Tom Hanley, and directed by William N. Robeson. Supporting Mr. Buffington were Junius Matthews, Carl Swenson, Ben Wright, Don Diamond, and Jack Crucian. Music was composed and conducted by Amerigo Marino.
I couldn't sleep that night and nothing. My mother said, "What was the matter with you? It looks like something wrong." I said, "Nothing."
Nothing, he said. But there was something wrong. That night in the park, this boy and his juvenile gang had stabbed and beaten another teenager to death. The victim, Michael Farmer, son of a fireman.
He was a very courageous, spirited boy. He was athletic. He was an excellent student, and we had great plans for his future. It's a hard thing to realize that there is no future any longer.
For Michael Farmer's father, the future is blank. But for the rest of us, what implications does this crime hold? Tomorrow night, on most of these stations, CBS Radio's Unit 1 probes the causes and effects of the brutal New York gang murder for which 4 teenagers have just been tried and convicted. You'll hear gang members, police, parents, all probing for an understanding of the tragedy as Edward R. Murrow narrates Unit 1's penetrating study, Who Killed Michael Farmer? Tomorrow night. Next week at this time, we return with...
Slaughter's the name. Luke Slaughter. When we meet up again, you can call me that. Luke Slaughter.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
To me, it's still so sad that Sam Buffington would commit suicide at such a young age. I really... It saddens me very much. He was such a fine actor. Luke Slaughter of Tombstone, 66 years ago, April 20th, 1958, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Somebody who managed to survive a good long time. By the way, tomorrow, comedy on Sunday. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, The Great Gildersleeve, Bob Hope, A Day in the Life of Dennis Day, and a new series of Superman shows about the nitrate shipment. So, a new adventure for Superman. Right now, adventure with William Conrad in Dodge City, Kansas on Gunsmoke. And that will be coming up next.
When you look over your morning mail, there's one thing you can be sure of. The bills always seem to arrive right on time. How do they do it? Ever notice that businessmen use zip code? How about you? Use zip code on all your mail and keep the good news moving fast, too. Don't tie up the mail. Use zip code.
Zip code's still about a decade away on April 20th, 1958. And those are the shows we are listening to on this Saturday. An episode of Gunsmoke now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. William Conrad and the story about the partners.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad, the story of the violence that moved west with young America, and the story of a man who moved with it.
I'm that man, Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet. It's a chancy job, and it makes a man watchful and a little lonely.
Looky there, Sam.
The big fella's about to start the show now.
Hello, everybody. I heard you Dodge City folks were up and coming, ready to pay the price for a real thrilling spectacle. Well, this is it. A feat of daring the like of which ain't been seen since the days of William Tell.
Oh, he's a pretty funny talker, ain't he?
Step up now, put your money in the hat, or there won't be any show.
Well, come on, Sam.
Come on. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you very much.
Hey, is that your little boy, Mr. Tell?
What?
You want to find out, mister?
Here now.
This
wait.
is my partner, Mr. Little Maury. He may be small, but he ain't no boy, as you just found out. Now, I'll advise you to put some money in the hat.
Well, sure. I'll put you. You gonna shoot that tin can off in the little fella's head?
I shoot one off in his head, he shoots one off in mine. If you put in your money.
Oh, well, sure. Here's mine.
Now, gentlemen, stand back. Out of the way. That's it, thank you. Now, I place this small can on my head. Please do nothing to distract my partner. This is a serious moment.
You ain't joking, mister.
Now, please. Yeah, now make no sound as he counts.
Yeah, go on.
1, 2, 3.
Now he'll place a can on his head and...
All right, hold it up a minute there.
What's the trouble, Marshal?
There's a law about firing guns in the street here, mister.
But, Marshal, this is an exhibition, a theatrical performance. You might say it's even education.
I don't care what you call it. There's lead flying and it can kill somebody. One of you, even.
Well, that's what makes a performance, Marshal.
That's what they pay to see.
You're risking a lot for that little hat full of money.
We trust each other's marksmanship, Marshal.
Nobody's that good every time.
We're gamblers, Marshal.
Well, you won this time. Go ahead and split the pot.
But we haven't finished here.
All right, everybody, the show's over. Move along.
You won't let us go on?
No.
And suppose we move outside town. No laws then against little target practice, is there?
No. But this kind of target practice, if you miss, you'll face a murder charge.
Well, I told you we're gamblers, Marshal. We're going to set up a game here. Any objections?
Not if your game is honest. What's your name, anyway?
Grover Cranston P. at your service. And this is my partner, Little Maury. I hardly remember his last name, but I think it's Smith.
Yeah, I'll bet. Like yours is Grover.
Now, that ain't too friendly of you, Marshal.
I'm not paid to be friendly, mister.
Well, now, gentlemen, let's remove ourselves from the marshal's jurisdiction and finish the performance.
Oh, my, that choke cherry pie is good.
Want another piece, Chester?
Well, I don't know, Miss Kitty. How about you, Mr. Dillon?
No, not for me, Chester.
Doc?
No, not me, but you go on. Oh, yes, Chester, you have another. It's just the thing for you.
No, I reckon I better not, Miss Kitty.
Oh, don't let him scare you, Chester. I'll go out to the kitchen and get it for you myself.
Sure, she'll get it for you, Chester. And I'll start figuring what to charge to cure you.
Oh, now, Doc.
I mean it, Chester. Another inch around the middle and you're going to have trouble, boy. I noticed yesterday how short of breath you were, just walking out to the town limits. Huh? Oh, you mean, let the cat out of the bag? Oh, man, now, you knew about those two putting on their William Tell act again yesterday, didn't you? That's the first time in 2 weeks.
Yeah, sure, Doc. I just didn't know that you and Chester were there, that's all.
Well, Mr. Dillon, I figured maybe somebody ought to make sure that it's really over the line.
Uh-huh. I hope you had a good first-row seat, Chester.
Yes, sir.
How about you, Doc? Were you able to see all right?
Well, I thought that there might be a chance of my professional services, that they might be needed.
Sure. That's exactly what brought a couple of hundred others out there. It's too bad they disappointed you.
Here you are, Chester.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Kitty.
What I can't figure out is Why they stay in that crummy boarding house where you steered them, Chester?
Oh, now, Doc, Miss Gans runs a real nice place. What I mean is, well, it's real nice.
Yeah, what you mean is the boarding house is bad and the food is worse. But the widow Gans is young and pretty.
Would you please
Marshal?
pass the sugar a minute?
Yeah, Maury.
You was watching our poker game last night. You have to do that?
Well, I keep an eye on every game in town.
You had any complaints about ours?
If I had, you'd be in jail.
We don't have to cheat.
I hear you made quite a pile in the last couple of weeks.
We done all right.
Yeah, but you're greedy. You put on your act again yesterday, didn't you?
And it was outside of town.
You know, you'll go on till one of you is dead.
I'll tell Grover what you said when I find him, Marshal.
I saw him about an hour ago over on Bridge Street with Effie Gans.
Effie Gans?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Did I say something wrong?
I don't know, Kitty.
Well, you did seem a little sore about something.
You know, Grover was sweet-talking Effie Gans. She's a widow. You figure those fellas might be pulling some game on her?
Oh, I doubt it, Kitty. She's not rich enough.
More likely to be the other way around, if you ask me.
Oh, now, Doc, she's real nice.
Oh, sure, and she's real pretty, too. But so's a rattlesnake, if you want to look at it that way.
The shoveling started at the little town of Rome in New York State back in 1817. And on July 4th, 1967, the post office released a special sesquicentennial stamp there in honor of the big ditch they dug, which, it says on the stamp in my album here, was the Erie Canal. Now, in case you don't know, that canal went all the way from Buffalo on Lake Erie to the Hudson River, connecting the Great Lakes with the Atlantic Ocean. The biggest waterway ever built in the United States at the time, and it was done mostly by the Irish just over from the old country, who did their digging with spit and mussel. Yep. Made lots of money for years on tolls. And the traffic and freight and people through the canal was mainly responsible for building up the Midwest and keeping business in the East busy doing it. Well, of course, the Erie Canal ain't what she used to be, because the railroads do most of the job now. But the big ditch is still there, and so is all the history that went through it.
Hey, Grover.
Oh, hello, Maury. I was just going down to open up the game. You coming?
I've been looking for you. Where you been all morning?
Why, around town.
Who with?
What do you mean, who with? Lots of people. And everybody wants to see the act again. I think we ought to put it on this afternoon. Crowd gets bigger every time.
You know why they keep coming back to see it?
Sure. I hope someday we'll miss.
And someday we will. Grover, let's get out of this town.
Why, we're doing fine.
I don't like it. And we got enough now, more than we ever had before. Let's go somewhere else and start a real business. What about it?
Well, we'll talk about it tonight, huh? One more William Tell act this afternoon, maybe we'll have enough. Just one more, huh? See you down at the place.
Yeah, I'll be along. I'm just going to wash up.
Okay.
Honey,
Grover's already gone, Miss Gans.
Oh. Oh, what are you staring at?
You, Miss Gans. You in love with Grover?
Why, now, I never. Whatever gave you that idea?
He did.
He didn't...
No. But I know him pretty well, Miss Gans.
Well, you're wrong. Now, I don't say I don't like him, but then I like you too, Maury.
You mean that, Miss Gans?
Why, sure.
Most women don't like little men like me, Mrs. Gans. Could you find it in yourself to love me?
Well, I don't know.
If there wasn't no Grover, if there was only one of us, could you find it in yourself to leave here, go away, and get married?
Now, where'd you get such an idea as that? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't like such talk.
You'd better like it, Miss Gans. You'd better.
Matt.
Afternoon, Doc.
Say, have you heard the talk? There's going to be another of those William Tell acts late this afternoon.
Well, I can't stop it, Doc.
There's something else I heard, too. Mr. Bodkin down at the bank says the widow Gans is leaving town. Sold her house for cash. And she might have some more saved up somewhere.
What are you saying, Doc?
Well, those two might be fleecing her, Matt.
You said it'd be more like the other way around. A rattlesnake can be pretty if you see it that way.
Oh, no, Matt.
All right, if you want me to talk to her, Doc, ask her if she's being fleeced. You think she'll thank me for it?
Yeah, more likely she'll slap your face.
Yeah, but I might find out something. I think I'll try it. Hello, Miss Gans.
What do you want, Marshal?
I'll just talk to you for a minute.
Well, I'm listening.
I heard you sold your house.
There are lots of big mouths in this town.
I see you got your bag in there. You planning to leave town?
I don't see it's any of your business, Marshal.
Oh, I just thought it might be, Miss Gans.
Why?
Well, you know how it is. A widow with a little money is fair game. Especially if she's pretty.
What are you driving at, Marshal?
You've been seen around with this man, Grover. He just might be planning to leave town with him.
Now, you listen to me, Marshal. I'm a widow, yes, but I don't have to like it. It don't have to mean my life is finished now, does it?
No, ma'am, of course not.
All right, then. If a man loves me and wants me to love him, it's no business of yours.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Gans.
All right. Maybe you meant well, but I don't thank you. What I do is my own business, even if I lose everything. Now, you get out.
Hometowns in America have a lot in common, and yet they're each one of a kind. Take, for example, Palm Springs, California. The chief industries of Palm Springs are fun and sun. After that, there aren't any more. There are more privately owned swimming pools per capita in the village than in any other city in the world. But don't get the idea that it's all resort and nothing but funning and sunning and swimming. The school system in Palm Springs is one of the best, with Nellie Kaufman Junior High, Palm Springs High, and the new junior college out at Palm Desert. The annual police benefit has moved indoors, and the Desert Sun and KPAL still keep folks pretty well informed and entertained. Meanwhile, things are still busy at the Youth Center on Bilardo Road across from O'Donnell Golf Course. But if your hometown is Palm Springs, you already know this. We only wanted to remind you it's still there.
Today, came to see William Tell after all, huh, Marshal?
That's right, Grover.
Can you see good from there, Marshal?
Yeah, I can see. Go ahead.
All right. On, Maury. You let me go first today.
No, I'll go first.
What's the matter? You nervous because of the law?
I'm not nervous. Are you?
No, of course not.
Don't worry. I'll put the bullet exactly where I want it.
Well, go ahead then. Walk on out about 10 paces, Maury. Now, gentlemen, your attention. Please remain quiet. No movement. No loud noise. While my partner counts. Quiet, please.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, he hit him.
Yeah.
Is he dead?
With a bullet through the forehead, yeah, he's dead, Maury.
Oh, poor Grover. Oh, this is terrible. Terrible.
I'm arresting you for murder, Maury.
What? No, it was an accident. Everybody here saw it was an accident. You said yourself it could have happened any time.
I said if it did, you'd stand trial for murder.
Oh, now, look, Marshal. Do you really think any jury would convict me with all these witnesses here to testify for me?
No. No, I don't.
Well, then, are you going to lock me up? Or will you let me take the body of my partner and bury him?
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Dillon, I swear I don't understand you. Of course it was an accident. We all seen it.
Chester, why do you think I wanted to be there this time?
Well, I don't know.
I expected there might be an accident.
You did?
Yeah. But I didn't figure it this way.
Where are we going?
To the widow Gans. I want to be there when little Maury shows up.
Place looks deserted except for that one light in the front room there.
Well, let's get a little closer.
That's her in the front room. Got a suitcase packed, too.
Shh. There's somebody coming.
Little Maury.
Honey, is that you? Did it go all right? Is he dead? It took so long I was worried. Well, come on in. Don't stand out there. I got the money all here and... Maury.
That's right, Miss Gans. It's me, Maury. I had the first shot, and I figured what you two was planning, so I just changed the plan a little.
Oh, no.
Grover's dead, all right. But that don't matter. We'll go instead. You and me with all that money. And there's more here from the act this afternoon. Oh, this one was a real killing.
No, don't you touch me.
You said you might could love me. Well, you will. Now, come on.
No.
All right, that's enough, Maury.
Marshal, you heard what he did.
And I heard what you were planning to do, too, Miss Gans. Turned out to be my business after all, didn't it?
Oh, no. No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
She's coming with me,
No,
Marshal.
no.
Let go of her, Maury.
You can't stop us, Marshal. You know how I can shoot. You've seen me.
Don't try me, Maury, even with a woman to shield you.
Why not?
Chester,
Right here, Mr. Dillon. I can hit him easy.
now you drop your gun, Maury.
You call that fair?
This is no game, mister. Now drop it. All right. Come on. Both of you.
Gunsmoke. Produced and directed by Norman McDonald. Stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Featured in the cast were Parley Bear as Chester, Howard McNear as Doc, and Georgia Ellis as Kitty. George Walsh speaking. Join us again next week for another specially transcribed story on Gunsmoke.
An Armed Forces Network recording of Gunsmoke as it was originally broadcast in the U.S. 66 years ago today, April 20th, 1958. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. Classicradio.stream. Stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection. If you want a new radio, click on a link there. I've got a link to a very nice radio. And, of course, those purchases off of those links help benefit the show. And you can also buy me a copy if you'd like to support us that way. Coming up next, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Listen and learn through civil defense. This is Johnny Cash. I'd like all of you to remember that America can withstand enemy attack if we support the emergency plans of our community and learn to help ourselves. Make sure you're prepared. Contact your local civil defense office today.
Thank goodness for the Armed Forces Radio Network. Many of the recordings of these great shows from the 50s survive because of them. And we're going to hear another show from the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service, and that is this episode of Suspense. It was originally broadcast on CBS 66 years ago, April 20th, 1958, as we celebrate that date, that Sunday, 66 years ago. And a surprise, of all people, Stan Freberg in an episode of Suspense, and this is entitled Alibi Me.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
One of the most unpredictable things about this business of entertainment is talent. We have seen singers become actors. Example, Frank Sinatra. And actors become singers. Example, Jeff Chandler. Steve Allen composes music. Ernie Kovacs writes a novel. Jackie Gleason conducts an orchestra. And now we present the latest talent turnabout, Stan Freberg, satirist, whom you are about to hear in a new identity, Stan Freberg, actor. Listen then as Mr. Freberg stars in Alibi Me, which begins in exactly 1 minute.
Another visit with Joe and Daphne Forsythe.
Joe. Joe.
Huh?
Come on, Joe, get up. It's 2 o'clock.
What do you want?
Joe, you gotta get off that couch and fix up the yard.
Oh,
Joe.
Saturday. Let me sleep.
No, we've got to keep the place in good shape. Now rise and shine.
Oh, come on, Daphne. I'll do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Always tomorrow. You can't keep putting things off.
I don't. Who was it bought the savings bond to take care of our future?
Who suggested the idea?
Well, who read the story in the paper that told about bonds being a good investment because they pay off $4 for every 3?
And who pointed out the article for you to read?
Well...
Right. And now I'm pointing out the art to you. Our bonds are guaranteed by the government. Our grass isn't. Mow.
That proves it.
What?
A little knowledge in the hands of the wrong person can be dangerous.
What does that mean?
You know one plain, simple fact. Bonds are a good investment. Now, you not only use it to get me to buy a bond a month on the payroll savings plan, but you'll probably use it against me the rest of my life.
If it gets you to mow the yard, I will. Move out, boy.
I'm going. But understand this. My next wife is going to show more respect for my hard work.
So would I if I ever saw any. Bye.
Murder.
And now, Alibi Me, starring Stan Freberg. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
This time it's a showdown. I've took all I'm going to take from Julie. It's tough enough to hustle a buck even without interference from him. This time it's a showdown. For real. Julie, I want to talk to you.
What? Look at you. No manners. No knock on the door. No could I come in. No good afternoon. No manners. No class. Always on the muscle.
I want to talk to you.
A little more relaxative with a voice. This ain't no candy store in Brownsville.
Now listen, Julie.
Didn't you hear what I said? Keep it quiet. Keep it class.
I want to know what's the big idea, you hear me? I just come from Pitkin Avenue. There ain't a candy store. There ain't a pool room. There ain't a bar that'll handle my punch boards anymore. Not one. We now take from Julie, they said.
They said correct.
But that's my territory. I build up the punch board business there.
I know. I watched. You hustled good. You built it up real nice for me, and I appreciate it. I already sent you the biggest lollipop in town. The biggest lollipop in town for the town's biggest sucker.
Julie, I'm warning you.
You're warning me what? What'll you do? Give me a double whammy like in the funnies? Ever since we was kids, you hate me, I hate you, and it's like a kind of mutual life insurance.
That punch board business is mine. I need it. I need that dough.
You need dough? I'll tell you what. Here's a $50. Run down, get me a corned beef sandwich, and keep the change. Here, catch.
Julie! Julie, I told you
Look at the face on him. If looks could kill, huh, kid?
I'm not kidding, Julie.
Now put that phone down, Georgie.
No.
Put it down, kid. Now remember Larkin. 6 o'clock, I got to report to Larkin on my parole. They're going to know you done it. Georgie, Larkin is going to know it. Georgie!
That does it. No pulse. Nothing. Not a flutter. Just one stinker less in the world. I looked down at Julie, and I remember standing next to him in Larkin's office in the precinct station house years ago. And Larkin saying,
"If one of you punks is ever knocked off, my first suspect will be the other. I better have a good alibi, whichever one of you does it. Because I'm warning you now, once I get you down to headquarters, you're a hot-seater."
I need an alibi. A good alibi. How much time do I have to set one up? Let's see, 10 after 4. And at 6, Julie's supposed to report to Larkin. Till 6. Okay, that's an hour and 50 minutes. For an alibi, I need people. Who'll alibi me? Who? Leo, the bartender down at the Shamrock. He's the one. He'll alibi me. Good old Leo.
Georgie! Oh, Georgie, Lord love you, boy. You're a sight for sore eyes. Hey, what'll you have, huh? Just name it, it's on the house.
Scotch.
Sure.
Leo,
yeah, boy.
we've known each other a long time, yes?
I hate to think of the years that's passed since we met. I'm getting old, Georgie, old.
Not too old to remember a couple of favors I done for you.
Georgie, boy, not if I was to live to be 100. Hey, here, drink hearty, huh?
Thanks. Look, I want you to do a little something for me.
Oh, well, look, kid, I'm a little short right now.
No, it ain't money. It's just, well, in case you should be asked, I've been sitting here since 3:30, huh?
Yeah? Why?
What's the difference, why?
Anybody special you want me to say it to?
You gonna do it or no?
Oh, look, Georgie, I got a right to know what I'm getting into. You want me for an alibi? I want to know why.
Well, let's not make a production out of it. Chances are you won't be asked. But if you are, I've been here since 3:30. You know what I mean? Okay?
Would Lieutenant Larkin maybe be one of the ones who might ask?
Could be.
Look, Georgie, you want money? I'll find you money. I don't know where, but I'll find it. You want food? I'll feed you. You want clothes? Just say the word, huh? But if Larkin is looking for you, I ain't alibying you.
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
Memo on medals. Interesting information about our military awards and decorations. Campaign medals were authorized by Congress in 1905 for all officers and men engaged in specified wars and military action, including such widely divergent battles as the Civil War in the United States and the Boxer Rebellion in China. The Navy and Marine Corps have a special Manila Bay Medal for members of the United States Asiatic Squadron under command of Commodore George Dewey in May of 1898. The Haitian campaign of 1915 is commemorated with a medal, as is the Santo Domingo expedition, which suppressed a revolt in that country and preserved order during elections in 1916. The Army has its Mexican Service Medal for those involved in any of several expeditions or engagements from April 12, 1911 through June 16, 1919. There is also the Army of Cuban Pacification Medal for United States troops who, from October of 1906 to April of 1909, helped establish a stable government in that island nation. The Victory Medal was initially awarded to all United States service personnel in World War I expeditionary forces, including, for the first time, women serving in the military units. There is a story behind every American medal, a proud story of devotion to country and unselfish service to keep it strong and free.
And now, starring Stan Freberg, Act 2 of Alibi Me.
It's 25 past 4. You got only 95 minutes left till 6 o'clock. When Julie don't show, Larkin goes looking. First for Julie, then for you. You gotta be ready for Larkin when he finds you, and you gotta have a pretty sensational alibi. He won't settle for less. Not him. Think, Georgie, think. Who do you know? Who are your friends? Georgie, think. Who? You see? It works. A second thought and it comes to you. Joni, that's who. Good old Joni. She'll be your alibi. Now, she's crazy about you. Always has been. Ever since that day up at Bear Mountain. Oh, let her be in. Please let her be in. I'll never ask nothing again. Just let her.
Well, look what the cat dragged.
Hello, Joni, baby.
I shouldn't talk to you, Georgie. I really shouldn't. It's more than 2 months.
You want to know why? You began to mean too much to me, kid. So stay away from her, I says to myself. Just don't ever see her. She'll wear off, you know what I mean? But I was wrong, Joni. You mean more to me now than ever. I couldn't hold out no longer. That's why I'm here.
Oh, Georgie, baby, don't ever stay away again. No matter what the reason, don't ever stay away from me.
I'm back for good.
Oh, it's been terrible without you. All the time singing the blues, not feeling like going out or seeing anybody.
Well, that's all over now. You know what? We're going to celebrate. Tonight, we're going out into town. Dinner, a show, dancing afterward. Crazy, huh?
I got a new number I've been dying to wear.
Good. By the way, Sugar, anybody been here today?
No, not a soul. I was all alone, feeling just awful until you came.
Joni, look, in case anybody asks you, not that anybody's likely to, but in case they should, you know what I mean? Do me a favor. Will you tell them I was here with you all day?
I'll tell the world you were here with me. I'll shout it from the rooftops. I don't care who hears it. I love you, Georgie. I just love you.
Yeah, me too. But look, Joni, in case anybody wants you to be definite, will you say I was here since 3:30 and stick to it, no matter what? 3:30?
I'll say I was with... Wait a second. What are you trying to pull?
Relax, Joni, relax.
No, Georgie.
What's the matter, kid?
What's the matter? Plenty's the matter. You dirty, no good, miserable son of a...
Joni, now listen to me.
I'm beginning to get it. Trying to sucker me to give yourself an alibi.
Joni, stop yelling. Listen to me. What I said is true. I need you.
Sure you do. So I'll say you were here with me since 3:30. You'll get no alibi from me, Mr. Wise Guy. Now pick yourself up out of that chair and get out of here.
How do you like that? You do things for people all your life, and when you want something from them, an alibi, for instance, what do you get? Nothing. That Leo, that Joni, I'll fix them when they get out of this. Only how do we get out? Only an hour and 5 minutes left before Julie's due to see Lieutenant Larkin, and he ain't gonna make the meet. Only 65 minutes. Who is it to give you an airtight, ironclad, cement foundation alibi? Think hard, baby. Who's around town? Who's left? Timmy. dope, you should have thought of him first. Timmy, laying there in the hospital, of course. Good old Timmy.
Georgie. Hey, it's good to see you.
Hi, Timmy. Looking 100%. Sorry I didn't have time to bring candy or flowers, you know what I mean? How you doing?
Oh, not bad, not bad. At least I'm alive. Doctor said it was a miracle. How's things with you?
Tim, I'm leveling with you. I come up by the back stairs. I didn't want no one to see me.
Oh, yeah? In a spot, Georgie?
I need an alibi for this afternoon. Since 3:30.
Oh, you got it. You got it. In this private room. Nobody comes near it. Nurses, orderlies, I don't come unless I give out a yell. And I can have visitors any time I like. No one was here all day.
Gee, Timmy, I'll never forget you for this.
You know, you got one of the oldest alibis in the world. You were sitting up with a sick friend.
Yeah.
Anybody doubts it, you send them to me.
Shows you. You never know who your friends are till you're in a jam.
I'll have a nurse come in so she can see it. And then you take the elevator down and ask some dumb questions so the operator will remember you.
Boy, you don't miss a trick, do you? Thanks again, Tim.
Yeah. I'll ring for her now. Georgie.
What is it?
My ticket.
Tim, what is it? You want a drink of water? Timmy. Timmy. Tim, don't die now. Tim, answer me. Say something, please. He's dead. My alibi is dead.
In a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense.
Another visit with Joe and Daphne Forsythe.
Joe, honey.
Uh-huh.
Joe, darling, put down the paper. I've got something important to ask you.
Okay.
Joe.
All right. What?
How many savings bonds do we have?
What kind of a question is that?
A good one. How many?
I'm not sure. I'd have to count. And I'm reading the paper. Now, what do you want to know for?
Have we got enough to make things comfortable for us?
Very comfortable. That's why I buy on a payroll savings plan. A bond a month will give us quite a nest egg for the future.
Enough for a college education?
Eventually. But who's going to college?
Our children, silly.
We don't have any yet.
Oh?
What do you mean, oh?
Better buy some more bonds, honey.
Daphne, you mean?
We've got a new investment.
How about that?
And now, starring Stan Freberg, Act 3 of Alibi Me.
I'm sunk. It's 5 of 6 and I'm sunk. In 10 minutes maybe Larkin will be looking for me and they got no alibi. So I've come home. So I'm walking up the stairs. And I hear a sound. My landlady, Mrs. Ettinger, is nailing down linoleum in the hallway. Good old Mrs. Ettinger.
Oh, hello, Georgie. You just come in?
Yeah, but if anybody's to ask you, Miss Ettinger, especially Larkin, you tell him I've been in all afternoon. Understand?
Larkin? Lieutenant Larkin?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that, Georgie. I won't lie to that cop.
Oh, yes, you will. You'll tell Larkin I'm in my room all day.
No, I won't.
Mrs. Ettinger, you don't tell Larkin I'm in all day? I tell him about Charlotte.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't, Mrs. Ettinger?
Please, Georgie, I don't want no trouble.
Listen, you'll be in plenty of trouble if Larkin hears about your daughter lifting a fur jacket right out of a department store.
I made Charlotte give it back. I marched her into the store myself. We give it back to the manager.
Sure you did. But a crime's a crime, whether a store prosecutes or not.
Oh, Georgie, please, she's only 15. She's a good kid. Her life would be ruined. You wouldn't tell me.
Now, Mrs. Ettinger, what's there to cry about? I'll keep my mouth shut just like you want. And you'll open your mouth just like I want, and everything will be fine. If Larkin asks you, I wasn't out of my room all afternoon. Okay?
You won't tell him about Charlotte?
It's up to you, Mrs. Ettinger.
All right, Georgie. All right. I'll say you was in all day.
And there's my alibi. Safe, sealed, and delivered. The best alibi in the world. 6:15. It won't be long now. I gotta watch myself when Larkin's here. Just the right attitude. Not too anxious, not too casual. Just right. Yeah? Who is it?
Open up, Georgie. It's me, Larkin.
Lieutenant Larkin? Well. What a surprise. And to what do I owe this great pleasure?
Remember I once told you, Georgie, if anything happened to Julie or to you, my first pickup would be the other one?
I remember. So what? Yeah. Oh, you mean Julie is... He's been
made dead.
No kidding. Well, what do you know? And you've come to offer me your shoulder to cry on.
You're not surprised.
I'm not the only guy who hated Julie, you know. Tell you what, let me know who did it. When you find out, I'll contribute a sawbuck to his defense.
Save your money, Georgie. You might need it.
Yeah? How come?
Remember I told you at the same time you'd better have a good alibi? Because once I got you down to headquarters, I'd prove you did it.
The words strike a bell.
Give, Georgie. Where were you today?
I was nowhere.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. I was right in here all afternoon.
Can you prove it?
Well, it ain't easy to prove you were somewheres alone all day.
Can you prove you were here?
Well, I didn't see anybody except... Oh, yeah. Mrs. Ettinger, my landlady.
Yeah? All right. Let's hear her version.
All right. Mrs. Ettinger? Mrs. Ettinger?
What is it?
Come in here a minute, will you?
Oh, now what? It's always something. What do you want, Georgie?
This is Lieutenant Larkin. He,
I won't keep you long, Mrs. Ettinger. Just a couple of questions. Were you in all day?
The whole day.
Was Georgie in all day?
Yeah, sure, he was in.
You're positive.
I'm positive.
What makes you so positive?
What makes me so positive? I cleaned his room, that's what makes me so positive. And I pressed a suit for him later, that's what makes me so positive. And when I was sweeping the hall, his door was open and I saw him. How positive can you get?
You're prepared to swear to that in a court of law?
Go ahead, Mrs. Ettinger. Swear. Swear by your daughter's head.
I swear.
All right. Thank you. You can go.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
That's it then, Georgie.
Meaning?
Meaning your alibi stinks as far as I'm personally concerned. But for the record, it lets you off the hook.
You hate that, don't you? You'd like to hang the big one on me, wouldn't you? Yeah, who is it?
Lightning Delivery Service got a package for George Lennox.
Come in. Who is it from?
Mr. Moore, Mr. Julie Moore.
Julie?
Open it, Georgie. Go on. Go on, open it. I want to see what Julie sent you.
Well, okay. That's only a lollipop.
I never seen such a big one.
All right, who asked your opinion? Beat it. Go on, get out of here. What are you waiting for?
What do you think he's waiting for, Georgie? Stake the kid.
Stake him? What am I, the mint? You stake him.
Okay, cheapskate, okay. Keep your lousy tip. Fine thing. I'm here twice this morning and 3 times this afternoon,
Shut
and
up.
you're not in.
Shut
5
up.
times up and down them stairs and not even a nickel.
Will you shut up?
Here you are, kid. Here's your tip.
Hey, thanks, Mac. A whole buck. Hey, thanks.
Don't mention it, kid. You earned it.
Oh, thanks. Hey, I almost forgot. There's a message goes with the lollipop. To the biggest sucker in town, from Julie. That's all there is to the message.
It's enough. Get your hat and coat, Georgie.
Suspense. which Mr. Stan Freberg starred in William N. Robeson's production of Alibi Me by Third Jeffrey, adapted for Suspense by Walter Brown Newman. Supporting Mr. Freberg in Alibi Me were Kathy Lewis, Geraldine Wall, Vic Perrin, Jerome Thor, Jack Crucian, Eddie Marr, and Dick Beals. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Freberg did a pretty good job there, didn't he? 66 years ago, April 20th, 1958, Suspense, as we wrap up our salute to the Sunday, April 28th, 1958, 66 years ago today. We'll wrap up this edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on this Saturday. First, by telling you tomorrow it's comedy. Dean and Jerry, Willard Waterman as Gildersleeve, Bob Hope with Jim Backus, and what we think might be the final radio show that they did for Bob Hope. Also, A Day in the Life of Dennis Day and Superman. But coming up next, Claudia.
Alert Americans will heed history's lessons. Throughout history, surprise has had a leading role in military disasters. Today, an enemy capable of surprise air attack could leave chaos in his wake. That's why you should be in the Civilian Ground Observer Corps, volunteering a few hours a week to guard our skies. Be a ground observer. Contact your local civilian defense office.
Now let's see what life's been like for the two city people living down on the farm now. Claudia, going back to April 20th, 1948, 76 years ago today.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia, based on the famous play and novels by Rose Franken. Brought to you transcribed Monday through Friday by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax, and while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
Oh, Mother, how do you like our peaceful life in the country?
I haven't slept so well in years.
Don't you like all the lovely rural noises, Mama?
The hammers and saws. Oh, well, we'll get used to that.
Well, I hope it stops before we get used to it. They ought to have that annex finished in another 10 days.
Can't even hear the birds singing with all the noises. And, Mama, we have the most singing birds you have ever heard.
Well, I hope they sing better than that parrot you gave me.
Say, I hope Aunt Louise is taking good care of Solomon while you're here. And I hope he doesn't bring on her asthma.
Aunt Louisa tells me that she tests negative to parrot feathers.
And I test negative to Aunt Louisa.
I thought you liked her.
Oh, I like her very much. But I live in trembling fear that one day I'll open the front door and find that umbrella stand she's been threatening you with since you were 3.
I wish somebody'd send us something. Even just a letter.
We'll get all of the letters we want very soon.
I don't think anybody even knows we're here.
Why, I thought that's why people went to the country. So they'd be somewhere where nobody knows where they are.
What was that?
Plenty of people know where we are, and we'll be hearing from them very soon.
Who?
Oh, the bank, the tax collector, the plumber, and the electric light people, and Mr. Paradiso.
Are they all going to write us letters? How nice of them.
Mm-hmm. We'll be nice, too. We'll write them all letters back with little green checks in them.
Oh, you mean bills. Those aren't letters.
Well, they're most of the letters most people get.
David, why don't you write me a letter from New York, just so we can see if the mailbox works?
It works fine. Well, you see how much that little mailbox can hold without flinching.
The flinching is up to us.
I don't know. If it weren't for Mitch, the electrician, and Billy, and the birds, I'd feel all by myself up here.
You can You can see how much we count around here, David, can't you?
I don't mean you, I mean people. There aren't any.
Fancy that. We aren't people. And all of my life, I have calmly proceeded under the assumption that we were.
Well, you aren't other people.
I can't be other people because I'm myself. I mean, I'm I.
That still sounds silly. I know it's right, but it still sounds silly. I'm I.
Well, there must be loads of other people around here, even if we're not.
We've been here practically 4 whole days, and we haven't met one.
A one people?
Not even one people.
I'd say we've been kind of busy unpacking and putting things away and plugging up our ears so we don't have to listen to all the hammers all morning.
Claudia, I'll bet in all the months you lived in that apartment in New York, you never met one person who lived in the same floor with you, did you?
That is altogether different.
Oh, sure, that's different. It was so easy to meet them that we never bothered to say hello.
But I thought in the country, neighbors want to meet their neighbors.
Well, they'll probably come to call on us when they think we're settled.
I think it's very unfriendly of us to wait. Everybody will think we're just plain old city people, very rude.
I think the custom is for the people who've been living here to come and call on us first.
I'm not that lazy.
Claudia, I do not think you ought to walk around the countryside dropping in on other people's houses.
I think it'd be very friendly of me.
I think it would be nosy of you.
I thought when we had a party line, I could find out everything about the other people on the line.
Have you been listening to other people on the telephone?
Not on purpose.
That makes it all right, I suppose, huh?
You can't listen to it on purpose. It only rings when it's for us. But yesterday, I just happened to hear...
I'm not interested in what you just happened to hear. Are you, Mama?
I should say not. What did you hear?
I'll tell you after David's gone.
Good.
And I thought your mother was a woman of superior character.
She is.
Claudia, I don't want you to go snooping around our neighbors' houses like a chipmunk, you hear?
David, don't you just love that little red house down the river road? I wonder who lives there.
I don't know anything about it except it's none of my business.
And did you notice the house with the funny black stripes on it? I wonder why they painted those stripes.
The owner probably has a pet zebra.
Maybe he has. See what you miss, David, when you don't know your neighbors?
Well, think how much they miss not knowing you. I don't see them crying about it.
Maybe they are.
Claudia, please don't listen in on the telephone and don't try to meet our neighbors until they try to meet us.
Oh, you're just like a man. All right, all right. I was just thinking about it.
And my final word of advice, don't think. Well, here goes the happy commuter.
Goodbye, happy commuter.
I have 20 minutes to get to Eastbrook Station. Who is coming with me?
I am.
Good.
I am.
Good. Ladies, this way to the chariot.
Oh, you...
Mommy, it's 2:00.
Really? You think I can't count?
Only 4 hours and 18 minutes till David comes home.
Well, it's time to put the suet pudding in the oven.
Are we having suet pudding?
No, but I can't think of anything else that takes that long to cook.
Oh, Mama. Look through the window there.
Where? Well, I don't see anything.
There's a car.
And what did you expect to see, an elephant?
But it's stopping in our mailbox. Mama, it's the postman. We must have some mail. I'm going right out to see who it is.
Now, don't run, Claudia. The postman leaves the mail, you know. He just doesn't wave it at you.
Hey! Hey! Hello!
Hello there. I brought you your first letter.
Hello, thanks. How'd you know we were here?
The United States Post Department has a very good way of finding out these things.
But you're a lady.
Well, you're taking a little bit for granted, but I hope you're right.
But I thought they were always men. Mailmen, I mean.
I am a male woman, and please spell that correctly.
I'm Claudia Naughton.
Hello, I'm Elvira Cook.
Hello.
I'm your mail woman. How do you like living in the country?
Oh, we love it.
Been here since Friday, haven't you? Got here around 8 o'clock.
Yes, but how'd you know?
Oh, we have ways of finding these things out.
Do you come by every day? This is the first time I've ever seen you.
Had no mail for you till now, and this one don't amount to anything. Just an advertisement from the lumber company.
You do have ways of finding things out, don't you?
When's the baby due? About June?
Yes,
end of June?
Say, it's going to be a boy, isn't it?
Well, I hope he'll look like your husband, Mrs. Norton. I hear tell he's a very good-looking man.
Have you met Mr. Norton?
Not exactly met him, but, well, Martha Lee Abbott. They live in that red house down the road. She saw you and Mr. Norton driving to the station yesterday.
The Abbotts live in that red house?
Been living there 4 years. Moved in just about the time I took over this job from Mr. Cook. He's my husband, and when he went in the Army.
Didn't he?
Oh, he came back all right, but he couldn't get the job away from me. He has a little hardware store now. Here's his card if you need anything.
Oh, thank you.
You know, it's funny about men. When my husband brought mail around, you'd think it was the boringest job in the world. Says he don't understand how I have such a good time.
Why, I think it'd be wonderful fun.
Someday, when you've nothing to do, why not ride around with me and meet the folks around here? That's what Martha Lee Abbott did when she first moved in.
She did?
Lovely girl. Got 3 of the nicest children you ever want to meet. 2 boys and a girl.
2 boys?
1 7 and 1 9, and has the sweetest little girl of 3 named Cynthia.
Oh, what a pretty name.
Mr. Abbott works up to Bridgeport at the aluminum company. Fine man, Mr. Abbott.
I didn't know there was an aluminum plant in Bridgeport.
Oh, they opened it during the war, and it's the biggest thing you ever saw. Mr. Abbott has a fine job there. But his boss is a fellow named McClellan, and sometimes he really tries to make life miserable for Mr. Abbott. And do you know, Mr. Abbott is just crazy about dogs, and he and Martha Lee have 2 of the sweetest German police dogs you ever saw. And they've been raising little puppies, and the other day, one of the little babies ran away, and they...
Well, Claudia, that wasn't such a bad dinner.
No, not bad at all.
Well, don't sound so surprised, you two. I bought the meat in a store. It was such a nice store.
Mm-hmm. And such a nice butcher. You talked, and you talked, and you talked, and you talked.
And talked and talked and
Well,
talked.
not that much now.
I suppose you were with her, Mother.
I certainly was. Heaven help me,
Mama,
I was.
that is not fair. You said I drove much better today.
Well, it seems you have a new bad habit. Now you're driving too slow.
Oh, can't please the woman.
You might almost call that a good habit, Mother.
No, not when it means dawdling outside people's houses, when it means just looking in a window. You follow
Mama,
me?
you look too.
Well, there wasn't anything else for me to do now, was there?
Oh, I'm so looking forward to meeting the Abbotts. I'd love to see their dogs.
Who are the Abbotts?
Oh, didn't I tell you?
No.
I thought I told you. They're the people who live in that little red house.
You saw their name on the mailbox.
Well...
Very, very observant of you.
Martha Lee Abbott. Isn't that a nice name?
It's a very nice name, but how do you know her first name is Martha Lee?
Oh, we have a way of finding these things out. Mr. Abbott works for the aluminum company. Did you know there was an aluminum company in Bridgeport?
I didn't have the slightest idea that there was an aluminum company.
Aluminum.
Claudia.
Yes, yes. Claudia.
Yes.
Have you been listening to the telephone when other people were talking?
Ah, I have not. Have I, Mama?
No, David. She hasn't.
See there.
I don't know whether I should take Mama's word for it after what she said this morning.
How do you think police dogs and Great Danes get along together? The Abbotts have the nicest police dogs. I should think Bluff would like to meet them.
Oh, I get it. One of the Abbott dogs ran away and came down here the other day. Is that it, Mother?
There hasn't been a dog in the place all day long, David.
Claudia, have you been walking on the road?
Well...
Now, I ask you not to do that. Don't you realize that those police dogs can be very wild sometimes?
Oh, I don't think
He
so,
might have bitten
David.
you. That's just exactly why I have told you time and time again.
Darling,
Don't-
I haven't been off the place once, except to go to the market. Just once.
Then how do you know?
And darling, listen, I forgot to tell you, the Abbotts have the cutest little girl by the name of Cynthia. Isn't that a nice name, too?
Mother, what's going on here? When I left the house this morning, Claudia didn't know one person on the river road. Now she not only knows all the people and all their dogs and all their ancestors and their descendants.
Well, David, I'm just as surprised as you are.
Oh, we have ways of finding these things out.
What ways do you have?
Well, we got a letter this afternoon.
Yeah? What sort of letter?
An advertisement from the lumber company. Want to buy some lumber?
I do not. I want to find out how you've become a gossip by remote control.
I am not a gossip. I just opened the mailbox. And, David, you were perfectly right this morning. You would be surprised how much that little mailbox can hold.
When you're at home doing the housework, is lunchtime simply a snatch-a-bite time, or do you make it a relaxing interlude? There's one way you can manage to add refreshment to lunch without taking a bit of trouble, and that's to open an ice-cold bottle of Coca-Cola. Coke goes with any food and makes even the sketchiest leftovers taste better. Try it and see whether you don't find the afternoon chores lighter when you lunch refreshed.
Say, Mr. King, right nice young girl, that Mrs. Norton.
I hope you'll be bringing her a lot of mail, and not just bills either.
Oh, likes getting mail, does she? Well, most people do.
But Claudia especially.
What's she going to be doing with herself up here, besides opening all her mail she ain't got yet?
Oh, Claudia will keep busy. Claudia and David rarely ever have a dull moment.
That's the same with Mr. Cook and myself.
Why, just the matter of buying a dozen eggs. That's a very gay adventure with Claudia.
Well, I can't say I ever get a kick out of buying a dozen eggs.
Well, come around tomorrow, Mrs. Cook, and you'll get a big kick out of the way Claudia goes about buying one simple dozen country eggs.
I'll be there. So long, Mr. King.
Bye, Miss Cook. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir. And remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes. And ice-cold Coca-Cola is everywhere. This broadcast of Claudia was supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney. And now, here's a word from your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola.
I don't bottle Coca-Cola, nor do I do it on the radio. But I thank you for being with us on the radio here for another episode of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, and be catching our Sunday edition for lots of comedy. We will see you next time here on Classic Radio Theater. I'm Wyatt Cox.